let's show you what's going on with this storm because we've been following it all day long. Jason's been in here talking about how powerful this system is. One of the things we've been watching with this is it is a strengthening storm at landfall, and that is very key to what impacts we are going to see here in Acadiana because at most times as storms approach the coast, they begin weakening. Not this time. Now this eye, as it appears right now, if it goes straight north, the eye looks to cross right over Lake Charles. This area right here, this is Interstate 210 on the south side of the city. Here's I-10 that runs right through the heart of Lake Charles. Calcasieu Lake is about right in here. This is Cameron and this is Holly Beach, and Creole's about right over in here. And so this looks to really come right over those areas and cause a lot of damage. And this is where we're going to see the worst of the storm surge right at the coast. But again, that is going to go straight up Calcasieu Lake into Lake Charles itself and even points northward here. Abbeville nearing 90 miles an hour. So just a little bit of an eastward shift. Remember we talked about that. If this storm came a little bit closer to us, we would see those higher wind gusts. And that looks to be the case here in certain parts of Vermilion Parish, Acadia, and Jefferson Davis parishes. Earlier on, the biggest thing from this storm is going to be the storm surge. Dire warnings have been put out by the Hurricane Center because of that. We're talking about unsurvivable storm surge here right along the coast, and that is for Cameron Parish all the way through St. Mary Parish. I mean, this whole area is going to see a very large storm surge. Believe it or not, Lafayette, we are not in the worst of this. So as I zoom on in, I just want to show you this part. The worst of this storm is actually this part right in here. And that is about to enter into Lafayette. So if we time that out real quick, this is moving towards the northeast at around 20 miles per hour, I would say, maybe 25. And that puts it into Youngsville by 12:18, Scott by 12:19. So in about 15 to 20 minutes, this should be arriving in Lafayette. And I just want to look at this image. I want you to look at this image because this is a well-formed hurricane that is about to make landfall. The eye wall is now on shore here, coming up towards Holly Beach, Cameron, as well as over towards Creole. That's where the worst of this is going to be. So as I was mentioning these areas, you have Holly Beach right about there, Cameron's right about here, and Creole's right about there. And the eye is going to pass over all three areas here as time goes on in the coming just few minutes. They're right at Cameron and Holly Beach. They are now starting to get out of the most intense part of this storm, what we call the eye wall. You see this solid area of red. This is the eye wall. That is where we have winds that are approaching 150 miles per hour or higher as this works its way to the north. Holly Beach, about right in here. Cameron, right up in here. This is Calcasieu Pass. And then you also have Creole that's back off towards the east. These are the three areas that are about to get into the eye of the storm. In fact, right along the immediate coast, the surge is done for now in this eye as this works its way due north here, right up Calcasieu Pass into Calcasieu Lake, and then eventually up to Corey's location in Lake Charles. This is the eye right here where there's no wind, there's no rain, very light winds at least, no rain. And he's probably going to be able to see some stars. You look up, you're going to see stars in the sky. It's going to be like, what hurricane is there? But on the western sides and the eastern sides of where this makes landfall, the eye wall continually pounds the same area over and over again. And that's where you're going to see a lot of damage because they never get into the calm section of the eye. One other thing, of course, your winds are going towards the west on the northern side, towards the east on the southern side. So you have that reversal of wind direction too. That causes a lot of damage in itself. But if you look at this light, notice how everything is working its way from east to west. And we know that because I-10 at Ambassador, this camera location is pointed generally to the north. So you see how everything's flowing across your screen from right to left? That is an east to west direction. So we're getting that. We're really going to be watching landfall is almost happening. And I want to show you why. Here is basically the center of the storm. I would put the center right there. And that is only 7 miles away from the coast. And so it does look like this may be just east, the actual center point, just east of Calcasieu Pass. The center may actually just skirt to the east of Cameron, Louisiana. which is this area right here. So this is Cameron, and that center, this is the actual center of the storm right about in here, right here. So that is going to be very close to Cameron, Louisiana.
Pressure's, the winds are coming down, Adam.
The winds
at Cameron, they're starting, pressure is at 936, the winds are coming down. Calcasieu Pass was gusting to 127.
127 gust in Calcasieu Pass.
That was 20 minutes ago.
And that was 20 minutes ago. So Calcasieu Pass is right here.
Yeah.
This is Cameron up here, so I'm going to put a little town label. Sorry that I'm having to draw this out. Sometimes our system doesn't like to plot cities on here. But this is Cameron, Louisiana, and this is Calcasieu Pass's second one. So I'll put a CP there, Calcasieu Pass. And this is where we're looking at that potential landfall of the center of circulation here coming up in just a little bit. If it wobbles a little bit to the west, that would put it right at Calcasieu Pass. If it wobbles a little bit more to the east, Creole is right here. So there's a couple of towns that this center looks to move right over. Of course, they are in the eye. Officially, the eye is the actual big ring that you see here, this clear area. This is what we call the eye of the storm. And this whole entire area is a lot calmer than the rest of the area, than the rest of the storms surrounding it. This is the eye wall, those storms surrounding that eye, and that is the most intense part of the storm. Now, the actual center of the storm is different from the eye. That is, the center is the midpoint of the eye, the area where we see the lowest pressure possible in this storm. And as Jason was just mentioning, the pressure continues to decrease in this area right around Calcasieu Pass, but the wind speeds are also decreasing, which tells us that they are in the eye, they're getting closer to that center point of the eye, and for them, a much-needed break after dealing with storm surge, strong winds, and heavy rain. Now, of course, all this is shifting up towards the north here to Lake Charles, where we will be joining Corey Smith in just a little bit, and he is about to get hit with the strongest part of the storm. I'm going to pause this again just to show you that, again, this right here, this is the eye wall. And this is the part that has 150 mile per hour winds or more. So that's something that we're going to be watching for here as this works its way on up towards Lake Charles. We're watching for those wind speeds to really start increasing here, and I doubt that we're going to have Corey for much longer with those types of winds because A, it just gets too dangerous, and B, you know, you can't really do a live shot in that. I've done many of them where we've been in 90-mile-an-hour winds, and it's even hard to do that. We now have landfall of Hurricane Laura. Officially landfall here at just the top of the hour. This is now on land just east of Cameron, Louisiana. Of course, Cameron's a little bit inland here. This is right at Calcasieu Pass, but you can see that the center of the system now making landfall with a pressure somewhere in the upper 930s. So a very strong system here, officially onshore, and so this is going down as one of the strongest, if not the strongest storms for this part of the state, making landfall here into southwestern Louisiana, Cameron Parish, right by Calcasieu Lake. And the center of it is moving due north towards Lake Charles. An extreme wind warning is now in effect for Jefferson Davis Parish as the outer eye wall begins to work its way on in. And that is going to be for places closer towards Iowa, but still the heaviest, strongest winds over towards Lake Charles. The only good news here is it's not a due south wind through Calcasieu Lake because that would have pushed up more surge here towards Lake Charles. A little bit of good news out of a very bad situation. Those really strong onshore winds off to the east here, more over towards eastern Cameron Parish, where that surge is really going to start picking up. So that is where we're looking at the landfall. Again, landfall has just occurred at the top of the hour at just east of Cameron, Louisiana here, and certainly a very powerful hurricane, Category 4 storm with, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but winds of 150 miles per hour still at landfall? Okay, 150 mile per hour winds at landfall, Category 4, just below Category 5 status here. A very, very intense storm, and the worst of the weather now getting into Lake Charles. This donut that you see here, this little area of missing data, that is the National Weather Service office, and it looks like they are going to get in the eye of this storm as it is now moving due north up towards Lake Charles. Of course, we're going to bring you more up-to-date information on this